Welcome to the Love Intervention. I'm Pastor Evans.
I'm Mrs. Evans.
So glad you joined us today. So what are we talking about today, wife?
So today we're talking about some premarital care, specifically counseling. I was reading an article that was published by Biola University, the Center for Marriage and Relationships, entitled 5 Benefits of Premarital Counseling. The saying, "you don't know what you don't know," really is true. There are many things that you don't know, that you can't know about marriage until you get there. The truth is, you can't be completely prepared for marriage, but you can be better prepared.
That's a good one. Yeah, I've told people several times, you're never actually going to be ready to be married, but you can get ready.
Right.
Yeah. So speaking of questions,
Okay.
what's the question for today?
So today's question is, what do you believe about the way in which you prepare or are preparing for marriage? So for those couples who are already married,
Right.
what do you believe about the way you prepared for marriage? And then for those couples who are looking forward to a wedding day, what do you believe about the way you are currently preparing for your marriage?
Right.
This episode is brought to you by Extreme Mobile Games. Extreme Mobile Games is the best game truck in Southern California. We specialize in video game birthday parties and special events, including corporate parties hosting up to 200 people. We also offer music for your events and Wi-Fi for all of your online games. No need to leave home. We bring the party to you. We look forward to giving you an experience of a lifetime. ExtremeMobileGames.com. Check us out on Yelp at Extreme Mobile Games. That's XTREME Mobile Games with a Z.
Right. And I think I should say here, so we don't lose some people.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you're like in a relationship and about to get married right now. It's just what you should do as you're getting ready for marriage, right?
Right.
So don't leave.
Yeah, don't leave, because this is definitely for people who may one day want to be married and don't have any prospects currently.
Right. Okay. So, what do you believe?
Yeah. So I asked the question. So, husband, what do you believe about the way we prepared for our marriage?
I try to get out of it. So I think we did a decent job of getting ready to get married. Now we asked and answered a lot of questions before I even asked you to marry me, and then after we got engaged, which is an interesting story. After we got engaged, we had some more conversation, but our premarital counseling, we'll talk about that later.
Right.
But I think we did a decent job. We weren't ready though, but we did a decent job.
Right. And so I have another quote before I give my part. We think that beginning a sexual relationship, cohabitating, and taking on each other's responsibilities is how we prepare. But just being in love and knowing each other well does not magically prepare you for marriage.
It does not.
It does not. There's no magic to it. There's some work that has to be done, which is interesting because the work that you have to do before you get married is only a precursor to the work you have to do to stay married.
Right.
So for me, yeah, we did a lot of talking, a lot of question answering, but I was nowhere near ready to be married. In addition to the fact that I was 23.
Yeah.
I think that's young.
Yeah.
Now that we have a daughter, I'm like, no.
Much later.
Right. So yes, we talked, and then once we had our premarital counseling, that was an adventure. But thankfully, we had people praying for us because it's only with prayer that we are here today. Okay.
All right.
So what is premarital counseling?
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today, premarital counseling, and we want to give you an idea of what the first couple of sessions should look like, right? if you're gonna get into premarital counseling or get ready to get married, get hitched. Right.
Or if you even have an idea or inkling that you want to be married.
Right.
This is a good, I think this is a good episode, a good next couple of episodes maybe, for anybody who is interested in or is curious about this thing, marriage. And who believes that they get married once and stay married.
Yeah.
You know, there are no
do
options.
your best the first time.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And do your best. So, what is premarital counseling? I think you have a quote for us.
So it's the training and preparation needed for a couple who are about to enter into marriage. This counseling aids in the exploration of a couple's collective and individual preconceived ideas and expectations with an objective third party, the counselor, who can help you figure out how to collaborate and come up with your new family's way of doing things. Because I think that it's important to mention because it's a new family way of doing things. Not the way your mama did them, not the way your daddy did them, not the way his mama did them, his grandma did them, right? It is, so you come up with your new family's way of doing things, covering topics like communication, conflict resolution, finances, spirituality, family history, activities, and individual and shared interest.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's important to note that I like the way that it was defined there. I think it's important to note that it is a training.
Right.
Like you do have to train for it, and it's not going, like you said, it's not going to magically happen just because you love each other. You do have to train for it, have these conversations. So the type of conversations that you have, at least you get you to a point where you can almost be ready. Right. So why do we need premarital counseling? So I think like I said, I think the definition was good that we got for what is premarital counseling. And a lot of the couples that we talk to, we tell them up front, like as soon as you think you might want to get married, you need to start looking into finding a good premarital counselor, good someone that can walk through these things with you.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that now. So why do we need premarital counseling? And here's why. Because a lot of the stuff that you're going to discuss are things that you may not have discussed in depth.
Right.
And you may not have had an opportunity to get those things out with someone else helping you walk through it. Right? Yeah. And that's what was missing in our premarital counseling, right? I love the man that did it for us.
Right.
But he just kind of gave us a lot of information.
Right. He dominated the conversations.
Right.
So it didn't feel like it was any longer about us.
Right. And he was giving us a lot of good, I feel like he gave us some good information, but
it was good information, but it didn't really help or prepare us to have conversations with each other.
Right. It wasn't a training as much as it was a lecture.
Right.
For 6 weeks.
Yeah.
For about an hour.
Yeah.
So it wasn't what we needed at the time.
Right.
It was good information. But one of the things that stood out to me from that session was just it made me know and realize that this is my wife and I'm responsible for my wife for the rest of her life and my life, whichever one ends first.
Yeah, but the issue is that it was so long and it was so one-sided that I can't even remember. And a couple of times I know I lost consciousness.
You were good at faking it.
For large amounts of time. Because it was like one story after another story.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing that I remember. The one thing that I remember from 6 weeks. So that kind of. So, but it didn't prepare us because our first year was rough, and I think if we had gone through some of the stuff that we're going to take you through, I think it would have helped us. We probably would have still had a rough time.
But it wasn't the premarital counseling that was the issue.
Right.
It was the counselor.
Right.
That was the issue.
Well. So today, what we're going to do is let you know what you should expect once you start premarital counseling.
And if you don't encounter it, leave quickly. Find someone new.
Right. And it's okay. You know what? I kind of laugh when you said that, but it's okay to do that. Like,
Right.
this is your marriage. This is
Right.
your relationship. This is your, hopefully, the rest of your life.
Right.
So if you're not getting what you need, find somebody else.
Yeah, you don't know any
fair.
reindeer. Why are we playing these games?
Yeah, right. You don't owe anybody anything, but you. The Bible says, "Oh, no man but to love him," and you got to at least love your man.
Right.
Like she does. She loves her man. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So why premarital counseling?
So research shows that couples who receive premarital counseling have a 30% lower divorce rate than couples who do not receive any kind of counseling, including premarital counseling.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the divorce rate is ridiculous.
It is.
We talked about that last season on the Love Intervention, just how difficult it is to build relationships and family when the divorce rate is so high, and it affects every part of society.
Right.
So we do premarital counseling. We do this training so that we can surpass that.
Right.
And do better than that, right? So in preparing for marriage, God says in Genesis 2:23 and 24, this. The man said, "This is now bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man." Mm-hmm. This is my woman, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what you do. I'll make that face. So when you're getting ready for marriage, right? You're saying that this is the one that God has given me, right? And then the Bible goes on to say in 24, "For this reason a man shall leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." So that leave and cleave means you leave your family behind, not so much get rid of them, but you're making a new family, like we said before.
Right.
And what I mean by cleave is like you move closer and you shall be joined to your wife because you become one flesh.
I mean, so much so that no man or woman can get between you.
Right.
That's what the Bible says.
Right.
So you cleave so much so that nobody can get between you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then when they say your wedding vows, I remember when we did our wedding vows, it said, "What God has joined together, let no man tear asunder." So you get close to him, that you don't let nobody get in between you. Yeah. We're gonna finish this, right? All right. We gotta get back. So, if you decide to do premarital counseling, and once again, we highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. Here's what you should expect in the first couple sessions.
Right.
Session 1, it should be kind of lax. Not a whole lot of deep conversation. It should be you getting to know your counselor, right? Because in order to go through some of the things that you're going to have to go through so that you can be prepared for your marriage, and for them to walk you through the conversations you're going to have with your future spouse, you're going to have to learn to trust the person, male or female. It may be good, if you can, to have a married couple do your premarital counseling. So then you have a male and a female there, and then you can speak to both experiences and help you kind of walk through that.
But again, be careful. You don't want to put yourself in a position where your counselors are arguing
right
in front of you.
Right. That would be bad. Walk away.
Right. So be careful, be vigilant about who you're picking.
Yeah. And obviously, if you're asking us, we would say find Christian premarital counseling.
Right.
Because you're generally going to be better off because God is the one who ordained marriage. Right. So they may ask questions like, why is this the one? Why is this the person that you want to marry? And that gives you an opportunity for them to hear your story and for you to re-share your story.
Yeah, for the person who you're going to marry to hear it again. Because it's always good to hear why you're the one. Right.
You want to know. Right. And then how do you know you should be getting married? Right. So you want to walk through that. Because just because you want to get married doesn't necessarily mean you should be getting married right now. Right. So you might want to have that conversation. So not too heavy, but enough so that they get to know you, you get to know them, and you get to figure out whether or not you want to be with them for the next 6 or so weeks. It's usually about 6 weeks. Right?
Right.
Want to say anything about that first session, wife? All right. And then the second session is going to be, if you're doing it with me, and this is, if you were ever to do it with a Christian counselor like myself or my wife, it would be talking to you about what you believe.
Right.
What are your faith beliefs? Do you have any? Where are you spiritually? Where are you with your religious beliefs?
Yeah, because it's important
for
both people to have an idea of where the person they're committing the rest of their lives are spiritually,
right.
or wherever they are.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and surprisingly, that's a conversation that people don't have. Right. Like if you're about to spend the rest of your life with this person, you want to know whether or not they believe in God, whether they're where they are, what are they, how do they govern their lives, right, and whether or not you believe the same way, right, whether or not you believe in the same things, and how is that going to affect your marriage, right.
That's important because eventually, or at least for quite a few couples, maybe most, after a while, it's not just the two of you, right, it becomes you plus. And now you're not only trying to navigate your faith beliefs with your partner, because you can, quite frankly, you can probably get around some of that if you just don't talk about it. Right. But then now you have this other life that you're trying to decide what to do with, and it could become and your faith beliefs will affect every aspect of trying to raise this little person. Right.
Yeah. And really, it will affect your marriage whether you admit to it or not. Right. There's no way that you can be involved in a marriage that's going to work and be that deeply committed to someone, and you guys don't talk about and try to come to grips with your faith beliefs. Right, because there has to be a meeting of the minds. Yeah. There has to be some type of an agreement. Right. Yeah, your minds have to meet, not just the other parts. So.
Right. So.
Session 1 and 2, like we said, session 1 should be pretty lax. Session 2 should start getting into some more in-depth conversations about who you are.
Right. And so we want to leave you with this. The goal of premarital counseling is to help you and your partner, soon-to-be spouse, have the conversations and build the skills you need before entering into a lifelong marriage commitment. Yeah, because we want it to be lifelong.
Lifelong. Yep.
Okay, well.
I think that might be it. Oh, you know what I forgot?
What?
Remember, listen, like and subscribe to our channel. All right? And share the videos if you think it's useful. Share the podcast if you think it's useful. Yeah, so like and subscribe.
Okay, well, see you next time.